Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run for the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. So it is going to be turning a lot more unsettled over the coming days, and as we head into the middle of next week it is turning a lot colder as well, as we do start to see some proper northerly winds arriving. Upper air temperatures look like they could get to around 10 degrees below average. Wouldn't be surprised to see some frosts and quite a strong wind chill out there. Now, of course, over the last few videos we have been looking at Hurricane Kirk in real interest. Now, its current trends, or we've seen over the past few days, have been slowly shifting it south, and fortunately that has continued today, and it does mean that the majority of the impacts will now be across northern France. Now, that does have knock-on effects for the UK. That has meant that the northerly wind looks even stronger and more sustained, which does mean that the air will actually be colder across us. But on the other end, it means we're not going to be seeing the very strong wind and very stormy conditions that looked plausible a few days ago. So that is one positive trend. The impacts aren't, not happening. It's just happening across northern France instead. And here it could be pretty dangerous indeed, with winds 70, 80 miles per hour, very heavy rain as well. We'll have a look at the longer range as well on the latest GFS, GEM, ECMWF and the ensembles, as it does look like the middle period of October is primed for generally cool or cold conditions, as we do have a little bit of North Atlantic blocking, and towards the end of some of the runs we are even seeing a bit of Scandinavian high developing. Nothing that would produce any cold easterlies. Of course, it is still way too early in the autumn and winter to be seeing anything like that, but definitely something we've not seen in a while, and again it could turn things interesting into the second half of the month. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, to like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see the unsettled weather is now coming in from the west. We did see some heavy rain in the west yesterday. The east was dry, but slowly that unsettled and wetter conditions is slowly transitioning eastwards throughout the rest of Sunday. And you can see at the moment we do have a smattering of showers around, a bit more persistent rain across Scotland, but the real area of interest is this across South Wales and southwest England. Very intense, heavy pulses of rain, even a bit of thundery activity in there. Now, this was modelled from UKV, but nowhere near as extensive and organised as this is showing. It was more an area of heavy thundery showers coming up from the southwest. So I'll be intrigued to see how this fares over the next few hours through the evening, as this does look like it will slowly move northwards and eastwards, could give some real heavy rain overnight tonight. And again, looking at the intensity of this, wouldn't even be surprised to see a bit of flooding, but because of the high rainfall rates. Going to be one to keep a very close eye on. Models look like they're struggling with showing this, and yeah, we'll have to see what happens in the next few hours, but very intense and looks really quite horrible across much of southwestern England and Wales at the moment. Now, temperatures are not too bad. With the westerly flow, we've actually got pretty mild air pushing in, as that air is originating from the Azores from the southwest. You can see for parts of eastern England, we've got a bit of sunshine, lack of cloud, looks really quite pleasant. And the same could be said for parts of the Republic of Ireland. Here, temperatures in even the mid to high teens, which for early October really isn't too bad at all. Now, do have a look at Hurricane Kirk. Now, this is the latest track from the NHC. We're not going to have a look at those ensembles today, because it is pretty much categorically shifted much further southwards. And you can see now the cone for Hurricane Kirk, or ex-Hurricane Kirk in about 48 hours' time, is now through the Bay of Biscay and northern France. Just the northern tip is still just about touching parts of Kent and southeast England, but that is a few anomalous ensemble runs. The majority now are widely across northern France, and it does look like it's going to have a lot of heavy rain on its eastern flank, and that is pushing through France, and the stronger winds on its western and southern flank, again all through France. So there is the small chance of some gusty winds and maybe some heavy rain if we see a slight alteration northwards, maybe Wednesday, Thursday. But the majority of runs have it going through continental Europe now, so good thing it does look like we are going to avoid majority of the impacts from this system. Now, if you go over to the latest UKV, you can see that heavy rain in the southwest at the moment is modelled, but you can see it's nowhere near as extensive and nowhere near as organised. It is heavy, yes, but it's more like a smattering of showers than an organised wall of rain. You can see it slowly transitions northwards, eastwards, breaks apart a little bit, but becomes a bit more organised further northwards. So again, it'll be very interesting to see how it fares over the coming hours, for it slowly clears northwards and eastwards overnight into Monday morning. Now, through much of Monday, we do have heavy showers around once again, but some areas will avoid it and it won't be too bad, but other areas could see some very slow moving thundery showers, especially further westwards. And you can see as we slowly transition into Tuesday, more heavy rain overnight Monday into Tuesday, spreading up from the southwest. Again, looks really intense and it looks more organised as well, so yeah, could be a bit of trouble with that. And then eventually, as we transition into Tuesday, more heavy rain spiralling in, as we do have still very unsettled conditions. Yes, main area of Hurricane Kirk, main remnants are clearing well to our south, but we're still under lower pressure. We are still under very unsettled conditions, and you can see this with the slow moving heavy thundery showers there through Tuesday. As we head into Wednesday, eventually we see everything slowly clearing southwards and eastwards, and that's because the low pressure with Kirk well to our south is clearing eastwards, and what that means, it unlocks the door to northerly winds. We start to see snow showers across Scotland, and it generally turns very cold for all through Wednesday evening into Thursday and Friday. If we look at those upper air temperatures, you can see the -5 isotherm comes in, and for all, we are well below freezing. The coldest air mass we've seen in a long time. You've had a few colder blasts so far this autumn. They have been cold, but they've been a couple of degrees milder than this, just about getting into the negatives for parts of southern England, for example. Here, though, we're down to -3 or -4 across much of England and Wales. So yeah, very cold conditions indeed, and will feel cold. If you look at the max temperatures, this afternoon, temperatures peaking 16-17 degrees, and that is because we've got sunshine around and it's mild westerly winds. As we head into Monday, it's a similar story, even stronger westerly flow, so 18, 19 or even a 20 degrees can't be ruled out. As we progress into Tuesday, a similar story, still pretty mild, but the cold air is moving in from the north, and you can see by Wednesday afternoon, big north-south split, much colder for northern areas, single digits for many areas in Scotland, Northern Ireland and Northern England, 16-17 in southern England, but look what happened into Thursday, widespread frost for Scotland there into Thursday morning, and by the afternoon, southern areas just about getting into the double digits, northern areas no chance, more like mid to high single digits, and overnight into Friday, quite a widespread cold night with frost developing, where we have clear sky, so much colder later this week. And I'm sure these temperatures will correct themselves a little bit as we get nearer the time. We've seen that with some of the cold spells so far this autumn, those cold northerly blasts we saw in September. They did get a little bit colder, and the exact temperatures did adjust as we got nearer to the cold air arriving. So I suspect these temperatures will shift subtly, but this gives you a flavour of what we're going to be seeing later this week. If you look at the latest GFS now, you can see Hurricane Kirk out there in the North Atlantic. It is slowly heading our way, but moving through northern France. What it does mean though, because it's further southwards, we see a stronger northerly wind, so turning much colder through Thursday, Friday, all the way into the weekend, before eventually getting cut off by a westerly flow. Here we do see still unsettled condition coming in off the Atlantic, but higher pressure slowly builds in to our northeast, and we do see a bit of a Scandinavian high. Now, it's not producing easterly winds, but what it does do, it kind of halts the momentum of the jet stream, so it could encourage slightly drier, warmer conditions developing if everything plays out like this. But again, it's longer range, so we'll have to wait and see. Do look at the latest GEM, again a very similar picture, low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, Kirk well to our south, and then eventually you can see pretty strong northerly winds arriving for eventually cutting off by a westerly flow, and again that Scandinavian high trying to build in. A bit more over the top of us, actually would be drier and warmer in this sort of scenario. And if we do finish by looking at the latest ECMWF, again, low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. Kirk clears well to our south, northerly winds arriving for the rest of the working week, eventually getting cut off by the weekend. And again, that higher pressure trying to develop to our east. So we see pretty strong trends, pretty strong agreement now from all the models out to day 10. Lots of changeable conditions, but definitely does look like we can have a pretty decent cold spell coming up later this week into the weekend. And finally, if we look at the ensembles, we can see this well reflected now. Generally unsettled conditions through this week, turning much colder as we head into later this week into the weekend, before it turns back towards average and a bit of a drying trend, which is a positive. And just to compare to the latest ECMWF, it's broadly very similar. Big dip in temperatures later this week. Still some big precipitation spikes. There's still a few anomalous runs showing more impacts from Kirk, but majority now well to our south. And then you can see eventually rising back towards average in around a week's time, but still nothing too crazy on the agenda. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure you stay warm out there, as it is turning much colder later this week, going from around 18, 19 degrees in the south to around 10 or 11 in the space of about 48 hours. So going to be quite a big drop. And of course, the temperatures we just looked at on the UKV are not the wind chill or the feel like temperature, which will be again a few degrees colder. So do wrap up warm later this week. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.